Hey guys, Magic here. Sorry if I seem a little disheveled and down today. I'm just a smidge depressed. These past couple weeks have really sucked. And such a quick transition from my favorite holiday into Christmas stuff, and it's completely skipping over another holiday that, even though I don't care about, I still think we should acknowledge it as a thing. I still say it's stupid that Black Friday has encroached on it. Just, I don't know. And then plus this week has also been bad, so I've had 1.5 really bad weeks. I just kind of done, just over it already. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. Today, I am here to talk to you about stage 5 in the recovery process. So we talked about stage 1 was despair, identifying the despair. The second stage was educating yourself on it. The third stage was awakening, and the fourth stage was implementing boundaries, which I've gotten better at doing. Restoration of material items or events, or your ability to celebrate your health, etc. is stage 5. This process can take a lot longer than one could expect. I mean, it took me, for instance, I was in severe despair, and I go back into despair periodically since 2019. Yeah, 2019. I initially gone into the despair stage at 2014, right? And I made it through the educating yourself portion by 2016, and into awakening around that time. And then in 2017, I was really good at setting boundaries. If you were toxic at all, we were done. But 2019, I had a severe depression point. I don't know why. It just hit me out of nowhere. And all those defenses came down, all those safeguards came down, and I trusted one more person, and who I shouldn't have trusted. And so I had to go through all the stages again after I got out of that. But now we're back at the boundaries. Getting pretty good at setting those. But basically, since 2014, when my oldest son was born, I've been on this journey, and I feel like I make the progress towards restoring my life, towards getting back to a better place, and then I fall back. It's like I take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back every time. And I used to describe my mental state as I'm standing on this. I've run to this edge of this cliff. There's nowhere to go because it's just an abyss, but all the ground around me and behind me has fallen. And so I'm just standing on this little patch of land, and anywhere I go, I'm going to fall into this abyss. And there's these little butterflies that are just flying around me, and at any point, any one of them lands. Like, one of them I said was the cancer that I had. If any one of them lands, I'm just going to fall into the abyss. Some days, I still feel like that. And other days, I feel like some of the ground has started to reform around me, and I can breathe and take a step back, and everything's going to be okay. But it is taking way longer than I thought. And my counselors keep assuring me, well, you went through 2 decades. 2 decades of this. So it's a little over 2 decades, actually. So it's going to take longer than a couple years or a couple months for you to get over it. That's what they tell me. But, I don't know if they're just trying to make me feel better, or if they're trying to normalize it, or if they're right. I like to think that they're right, and that I'm not just stuck, not broken, so to speak. I know that because it takes so long, the patience is key. So if you're struggling like I am, just remember, be graceful with yourself and have patience, because healing comes with time. I mean, time doesn't heal it, but it does soften it. And I know that it's discouraging, because I get discouraged. Sometimes I feel like I'm just too broken, and maybe I just shouldn't exist. Or maybe there's no point in trying, but I haven't given up yet, and neither should you. I mean, if you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, maybe take a break. Just forget about it for a while, like I did. I had to take a break. I had to recenter myself, get back into myself, and before I continued to learn anymore or continue to grow anymore, because I just needed time. I needed time to assess, to be by myself. And besides, returning to a state of normalcy where you're doing things outside of learning about this stuff, aside from studying this stuff, aside from watching things on it, means that you're returning to a state of normalcy and you're not controlled by it anymore as well. Sometimes we believe that if we try to live our lives, that we're somehow letting them win. That somehow that means that we're just letting them off the hook. That, I don't know, that they haven't done anything wrong, which is not true. They have done something wrong. We know it, and they know it. But the thing is if you hold on to that, and you let it make you miserable, and you let it ruin your life, the only person that's hurting is you. They don't care. If they cared, they wouldn't have done it in the first place. But they have no care. They do not care about you. They do not care that you're suffering. They don't care whether you live your life or not. Matter of fact, they would rather see you broken, because that makes them happy. So it's always been my opinion that by staying down, I let them win. And so I've always gone back up. Even as a child, I held that belief. I told myself I'd never let them see me cry. And no matter what they did, even if it was violent, I was going to get back up. Because if I stayed down, if I let them see me cry, if I let them see that, if I let them know they hurt me in that way, if I let them know that I'd given up because of them, I let them win. And I couldn't do that. I've been rebellious my whole life, kind of defiant. I like to call it defiance. I was very defiant. Couldn't accept my place, so to speak. Strong-willed is what my friends call it. I mean, I've had pretty abusive relationships, both psychologically, emotionally, sexually, physically, and no matter how badly I was hurt, I always got back up. And, well, at times I did let them see that they hurt me. I always showed them that wasn't going to last forever. And I'm still fighting to show them that doesn't last forever, that I can do something with my life. That's why I'm doing all the things I'm doing. It's why I'm living my life. I have my kids. I'm going out having fun, making memories with them. I'm writing the books. I'm doing all the things because I don't want them to know that they got me down. I don't want them to think that they've won, because they haven't. I'm stronger than that. You can't break me. They can't. And I think they need to understand that. And it's not so much that I'm trying to prove anything to them. You know, it's more of trying to prove it to myself. And if any of them pay attention to my life, then fine. They can. If they don't, oh well. I guess they don't need to know how I'm doing. But I need to prove it to myself so I can feel like a survivor and not a victim. Choosing to live again is so hard. So hard. Because there's so many negative thoughts, so many things that pull you back into that darkness, and it's so easy to be triggered back into that darkness. My current partner should know, or my current almost partner should know how easy it is for me to get yanked back. It doesn't mean that they didn't do anything. It doesn't mean that they never harmed you. All you're doing is bringing the life back into your life. Bringing hope. Because besides, if we stay broken, they don't. They're fine. Nothing ever happened to cause them to feel this way. And so they're not going to feel this way. Only we are. Sorry, my phone popped up with a notice. We're the only ones that suffer the consequences of their actions usually, especially with psychological abuse. So we might as well not let them destroy our lives. They don't have any authentic connections, so it's kind of hard for them to feel the way that we feel. So when it comes to leaving us and moving on with their lives, it's clean, gone, like it never even happened. They can just forget us like that. but we don't forget. We have the lasting scars, but we can heal. We can get better so they don't win. Living your life doesn't mean that it did not happen. It just means that you're not broken, at least not beyond repair. We all may be a little damaged here and there, but we're not broken. Start dreaming. Dream big. See where life takes you. Things don't change quickly, and your life won't fix itself quickly. But it won't change at all if you don't try. Just keep up the faith, keep up having hope, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's all we can really do. Don't let yourself slip into perfectionism or impatience, because then you might also need to take a break and just live your life for a little while. Because, that's how we're graceful to ourselves. We give ourselves time when we need the time. Restoration isn't supposed to be overwhelming, so take all the time that you need. Okay, so if they ruined a lot of holidays and celebrations and life moments for you, some of those you can't get back, but you can start to get better or start to have better ones, but create better memories. They like to ruin these moments. See, they have attachment. That's what it is. It's an attachment disorder. They have attachment disorders. Narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. They have an attachment disorder. And so, periods of, relationship closeness, especially for extended time like you would have at a holiday, it makes them uncomfortable. So they seek to ruin it. So that way they can feel comfortable again in the chaos that they've created. Because it helps them create some type of emotional distance between them and everyone else. And that's where they feel the most comfortable. And, if you're on vacation with one, that requires teamwork. And that they do not have those skills. So keep them short, if at all possible. Sometimes we will avoid these holidays and these events, and we'll try not to celebrate them, or we won't go on vacations that remind us of the partner, because if you're like a lot of survivors, you probably have PTSD. And a part of PTSD, as I should know, is you avoid things and that remind you of the person or the event or of what happened. And sometimes that can be places, sometimes it can be doing certain things. It might be why I hate so many holidays, is because I have so many triggering memories around them. Like, Samhain is the only one that I don't. I'm trying to get over it. That's why I celebrate them with my kids. I'm creating those new memories. I'm giving us these fun things to do. And while I may not always get enthused about any other holiday other than Samhain, I decided that, I'm going to at least put in the effort so my kids know that it's okay to have fun. And sometimes I have relatives that try to destroy that. But we still make it a point to have a good day, despite all that chaos. So, at the very least, you could try a staycation, go somewhere, stay in a hotel by yourself. Or, send the kids away for a week, stay at home by yourself. Something. I don't know where you'd send them, though. But it's good to have time to ourselves to restore our patience level. Financial issues may also be a problem. I know one of my relationships put me in a lot of debt, which is what I'm working on paying off now, and trying to increase my savings. I know that a lot of people have trouble believing financial abuse is any more real than psychological abuse, but it is. See, the way that financial abuse works, it works one of two ways. Either they make you dependent on them, or they're dependent on you. In the sense that they make you dependent on them is that they have control of all the finances. You may or may not work, but they have control of all the finances, and they control where all the money goes. And you don't ever know. You know nothing about it. So if they leave, you're like, well, how am I going to survive? I don't know if I can, because either you don't have a job or you don't have any of the finances information, and they do. And that can be a really tough spot to be in. When they make themselves dependent on you, they're reliant on you to meet all their financial needs, which really limits what you're able to do, especially if you're trying to get away, because you kind of need those funds to be able to get away. So, but it's used to keep you stuck. It's used to keep you there, even though you want to go or that you know you need to. Sometimes they'll refuse to even work. Like, the one that put me in a lot of debt, he was like that too. The long time that he worked was whenever I had my son. When I was pregnant with him. I mean, he'd have jobs, odd jobs here and there to pay for gas, but largely he just kind of traded things. Because he didn't really want me to work until we got to, because he wanted to keep me close to him at all times until I had my kid. Once I had my kid, he worked consistently, an actual job, something that we could actually survive on. Not that he actually bought anything that the kid needed, but, or if he did, it was something he was allergic to. But, when we moved away, one of the things that he told me after I had him is that he wanted me to stay home, be a stay-at-home mom for a year. And then he was going to come home and stay home and I could go to work. But he wanted me to work nights so I could still be up during the day to care for the kid. And that was going to be his plan. I've had others where they just refused to let me work or refused to work themselves and completely relied off me. So I get financial shit and I'm trying to work my way out of the ones that they caused me. And I know it's partially my fault too because I allowed it to happen. But it's a process. You gotta get there. Physical health. I know my physical health has suffered a lot because the mind is connected to the body. What affects the mind affects the body, and what affects the body affects the mind. My energy levels are so depleted. I mean, obviously, I'm not as energetic as I used to be. I'm always in a lot of pain. Like, even right now, I'm in pain. Like, I'm trying to keep myself straight like this, but there's just so much strain in my lower back that it hurts, so I keep finding myself slouching, and I'm trying to correct it. I know I developed 2 types of cancer and other ailments around the same time that all the stressful situations were happening. I mean, after all, the body can only take so much stress, and after that, it kind of just, I mean, if you think about it, when you're in these relationships, you're kind of just exposed. You're not wearing any protection. You're just trapped in this abusive situation. It's like drinking poison. And often that's also how it feels whenever we're trying to, I'm just going to stay broken. So that way I don't know. So I don't let them quote unquote win by knowing that, I guess it must not have been that bad. That's like drinking poison and expecting them to die. It does affect our health, but we won't be able to fix that if we don't take an honest account of what's actually happened. We need to take care of ourselves. And sometimes that looks like going to your doctor and talking to them, and sometimes that looks like more homeopathic options or not traditional medical things like acupuncture or chiropractors or massage therapy, or I'm sure, or like, exercising daily. That's helped me a lot, especially some yoga positions really help, especially with my hip that likes to dislocate. I know I constantly feel physically and emotionally drained because of my mental state. And that, it's draining. It is draining to deal with this stuff. But we're taking baby steps in the right direction and we will get there. When you have, then there's your emotions. I know that when you're in these relationships, you suffer a lot of anxiety and worry and depression, because I did, and I still do. Having a real hard time recovering. They will love bomb you, which makes you feel really good. But the better that you feel, the harder the fall is always going to be, especially with a psychological abuser, because they don't care. They want you to fall so they can quote unquote break you. So you just got to do what works for you, whether that's journaling, meditation, talking to a therapist, whatever you can do to fix your emotional state or to decrease your anxiety, whether it's prescriptions or just have someone to talk to, or breathing techniques. I found those are helpful for me, or just finding ways to combat the automatic negative thoughts in your brain. Daniel Amen calls them ants on your head. Just do what works for you. This process, as I've said before, is individual. And you should be working towards getting better. And it will get better. And eventually it'll be less soul crushing, I promise. Like I said, more good days than bad. And sure, the bad days still feel soul crushing, but I'm coming out of it faster. It's just this past week and a half I've had a string of bad luck. So it's really hard to get out of the negative thoughts when everything I do seems to turn out wrong. Also, if anything was broken or stolen or damaged or lost in these relationships, you can try to replace it. You may not be able to replace the item itself and what it meant to you, because some of those things, let's face it, they're just invaluable. But you can make new memories. When I was a kid, I had this little white rabbit with a green bow around his neck, and he had little brown spots. Now, I named him Freckles because, I don't know why, because he had little brown spots. I could consider them freckles. But, yeah, I love that thing more than anything. And because my parent couldn't deal with me caring about something other than them, they got rid of it one day. I left it on the table so I could go to the bathroom, and when I came out, it was gone. Supposedly they accidentally packed it in a box to take to storage, but when we searched that storage unit, it was nowhere to be found. I never did get Freckles back. But now I have other stuffed animals and things that mean a lot to me. And wherever Evie is, somewhere in this room. And then things like, and I may not get back some of the other things that I've lost, like favorite books and things, but I can still collect books. I can get those, I can get another copy of the book. I can do things. I can make new memories with my children around the holidays for all those things that were lost. And as long as you create new memories and new happiness around those objects, it'll soften it. Remember, as I said earlier, time doesn't heal anything. It just softens it. But doing nothing is what lets them win. Your action to get better, to improve your life, is power. Some things you can't get back, and other things you can. Take back what parts of your life you can, and just keep moving forward. Do not let them win. Do not let them wreck your life, because they don't care. Don't ruin yourself for someone who doesn't give a shit about you. Take a baby step, even if it's a small one today, to move towards restoring your life. Alright guys, as always, I love you. I'm rooting for you. And go out and spread the love, because love always wins.